Hello and welcome to the Ultimate Sports Fix. I'm Eric. Brent.
And I am Brent. Sorry. I
That's
was
fine.
waiting for you.
Oh, that's fine. No, I was getting an echo too, so I just wanted to make sure the
Okay.
echo went. That's why I did it. Okay. Anyway, great start to the show. But anyway, today we are gonna preview the Guardians and Tigers because the Astros just lost to the Tigers
Hmm.
in the wild card game. Why am I getting an echo? That's odd. Anyway, um, the so Guardians will face the Tigers in the ALDS. Then we will also talk about the Browns. But first, I want to talk a little mental health because I think that's a very important topic. So with that, number one, we're going to talk a little bit. What can you tell us what the anxiety disorder or anxiety disorder is?
Hmm. Like anything in specific, because that's like an umbrella of, disorders. There's certain things that fall under that.
Oh, or
Um,
we could specifically just talk about the different levels. I probably should have
yeah,
talked to
and I
you
know you want
before
to
the
talk
show.
about OCD as well. I mean, that falls under
Oh,
the anxiety umbrella. So, yeah, but sure, just general speaking, anxiety can present as a lot of different things. I typically, for those of you who don't know, that I work as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I'll be starting a new job up in Cleveland here soon, primarily working with kids and adults. But typically, when I'm asking about anxiety, I'm checking in for symptoms, things that are overwhelming the person's life. They're happening more often than not. People finding themselves over worrying, restless, fidgety, not able to sit still, having difficulty sleeping, trouble with concentration, trouble with focus. A big one I ask about is having a lot of racing and unwanted thoughts, things that are going on and on and on. You can't get them out of your head. And then some of the OCD things, feeling driven to complete a certain ritual, certain behavior. Some of the most common things with that are things such as washing your hands over and over and over, checking locks. But this is things that'll happen, for a majority of the day. It's not something that's going on for like 10 minutes. It's
mhm.
typically going on for long periods throughout the day. But yeah, did you have any specific questions? It's just kind of a general.
So let's. How do you decipher as a mental health professional the the difference between OCD and other things? Because just giving me as an example, I feel like there's some OCD tendencies within me, but I from everybody I've talked to, like doctors and stuff, they don't see that.
Mhm. So, yeah, I mean,
So
go ahead,
go
yeah.
ahead.
A lot of the times, mental health professionals will make a diagnosis based off of the DSM-5. There's certain criteria that you have to meet. Like I said, I'm primarily trying to treat the symptoms, so my style might be a little bit different, um, from somebody else's. But for OCD, we're primarily looking at, for those of you that don't know what it stands for, it's obsessive compulsive disorder. So, number one, we're looking at obsessions. Like I mentioned previously, they're having people with OCD will present with symptoms such as very intrusive or unwanted thoughts, images that pop up in their head, or urges. Um, and most of the time, they're going to be really distressing for the person. It's definitely going to be interfering with their lives on a daily basis. Um, a good example of this, if You remember like Howie Mandel, how he has like that fear of germs. Um,
Mm.
do you remember hearing about that for a while?
Yes. Mm.
Yeah, so he was washing his hands over and over and over again. So that would be kind of an obsession. Um, Number two, compulsions. That's the other thing we check for as part of the disorder. Having to complete these repetitive behaviors
Mm.
over and over and over again. So, like I mentioned, the hand washing, that's an example I give people, checking locks over and over repeatedly, arranging things in a specific order,
Mm.
or it really just is interfering with the person's life.
I don't know if you've ever watched Big Bang Theory, but
Mhm.
Sheldon has major OCD,
Mhm.
and even in the show Young Sheldon, um, there's an episode, if there's any fans out there, you know what I'm talking about, where he was doing his science, or he locked himself in his garage in a hazmat suit, um, so he didn't have to be around germs.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, no, that's a great example. But yeah, we typically see it, like I mentioned, I'm gonna be working with, children and adults here soon, so I was primarily with adults, but, OCD can happen as early as, early childhood, 6 years and beyond, all the way through adulthood, so, it can happen throughout the lifespan. Both men and women are affected, it's not any younger, heard it in both people, so. And then, treatment-wise, primarily SSRIs. Some we've seen better efficacy with. The one I like to use for OCD, as long as there's no contraindications or reasons we can't use it, would be Fluvox or Luvoxamine. Uh,
oh, okay. So
if you've heard of that.
it's the other name for it is Prozac, right?
No, that's actually a different one, but that falls under the umbrella of SSRIs. Um,
Okay.
So you can use Prozac. That's there's what is there? Fluoxetine, and then there's sertraline. So the fluoxetine's Prozac. I was saying
Yeah.
fluvoxamine
Okay.
with the V. Yeah.
Okay. My bad. Um. Any Anyway, let's talk about other, like, now that we've kind of discussed that there's multiple levels, or there's an umbrella of anxiety disorders. Like, what are the different? Let's, other than OCD, let's kind of get into the other different types.
Mhm. So what I primarily see in my practice setting, or most of the time, this is the diagnosis they come with. It's just kind of a generic, like I said, umbrella diagnosis. But most of the time, we'll see generalized anxiety disorder, which is kind of just a generic diagnosis we give to people that are suffering from anxiety. Like I said, I'm looking more at the target symptoms, what's causing them problems, and then I kind of go with the medication based on that. Um, and we kind of go from there. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, um, most of the time, yeah, we're seeing, and then there's social phobias, there's panic disorders, PTSD follows under there, and then obviously obsessive compulsive disorder. So it just kind of depends on the symptoms that are presenting. So if it's more like, for example, more PTSD driven, this is going to be people experiencing symptoms based on a past traumatic event, having, intrusive memories, nightmares, flashbacks, definitely having some emotional lability where they're kind of all over the place.
What's an example of a panic disorder?
Um, so these would be things like panic disorders typically present as more physical symptoms. They're usually they occur unexpectedly. You can have like chest pain, shortness of breath, dizziness. It's just a kind of a broad generalized term, but most of the time panic disorders present with some kind of, or they're accompanied by some kind of physical symptom.
Uh, Sorry, I just realized my uh my webcam is picking up my audio for some reason, so I'm
No,
trying to
you're
fix
fine.
that as we're as we're doing that or as we're talking.
Right.
But are panic disorders a what's more popular or more common, I should say?
More
Um,
prevalent.
yeah, prevalent. The OCD or like a panic disorder.
I typically see more of like the panic disorder, kind of built on to like the generalized anxiety that I see people mostly diagnosed with. OCD, not as often, but I do see it.
Hmm.
And like I said, it's kind of like a most of the time, and you know, other practices or practitioners might say different things, but most of the times I'll get clients, unless they're first time patients and this is the initial psych eval, that'll just have a general diagnosis along the lines of generalized anxiety disorder or maybe PTSD. Those are some common ones that I see.
Hmm. So with that, let's kind of get into let's get into the Cleveland Guardians now. So with the Guardians, which this season has been such a surprise, with the fact that um they have been they made the playoffs because nobody was expecting anything out of them. So for them to make it this far and be one of the top teams uh in the conference or American League, it um it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've got Detroit coming up here Saturday. I believe I saw the time was what, 1
One,
right
yeah,
p.m. Yeah,
1 p.m.
yeah.
and then 4:08 on Monday, I believe. And of course, hold on, I why am I still getting echo?
I don't. It's not my side of things, is it?
Maybe. Are you listening? This is great, professional. But are you listening off of headphones or a?
No, I'm not.
That's probably where I'm getting the echo. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering if
Coming
I
through my
just muted
speaker.
myself completely off the air. But anyway, as we're fixing technical difficulties live on the air, um, that's a part of podcasting. So
Mhm.
it is what it is. Um, but it'll be interesting to see the matchup with Detroit because it was I believe it was a split series with the Tigers' regular season.
Yeah, I'm surprised at the Tigers too. Um, definitely been pulling together. It's nice to see the Astros lose. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, especially after they got caught cheating.
Cheating. Yeah.
That just kind of makes people, um, you know, turn away once. It's like Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
They got caught cheating, but they tend to, make excuses for that. But
Didn't they have a Netflix special on that or something?
I have not seen it, but yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that might be interesting to check out.
Yeah. The it's good that they finally are like super watching the Astros just to make sure they're not uh cheating. So, because
Mm-hmm.
in stuff like this, in cases like this, we m- you know, you they're cheating, so it comes to extra that they are paying way more attention. Oh, interesting. Okay. Anyway, so but with the Guardians, it'll be interesting to see the rotation because they haven't named the starting pitchers for each game yet. So,
When are they naming them?
they're doing simulated games this
Okay.
whole week. So they are naming them on probably Friday.
Gotcha.
So
Who are you most excited to see out there?
I mean
I
Ben
see.
Lively's been a real surprise, but if Alex Cobb could stay healthy, I think he's gonna be the key to the Guardians
Player.
getting somewhere.
Yeah. It's good to see that the hitting's been better this year too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cause
That's a
the
big help.
cause in the past few years they have really been rough hitting, especially with runners in scoring position. You know,
And
they've
I think this is what the Guardians' 15th time making it to the postseason since 1995, somewhere around there.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right with that
Okay,
stat.
that's what I thought. Which I mean, for Cleveland sports teams, we'll take it.
Yeah,
It's pretty
definitely.
awesome.
I mean, they just the teams were unbelievable in the late um 90s, and then for them to partially, still be good now. I mean, they need to be more consistent, but
Mhm.
if they could stay more consistent, this team could go far for many years. It just is the consistency where they struggle. They'll have one up year, then they'll fall for two. So, um, yeah, they're. I mean, it's just they gotta stay consistent. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is, like, this year, Quan dropped off really bad. Like,
Hmm.
it was,
His average was definitely down.
yeah, he started well,
He did.
but after that, he kind of tailed off more than kind of. But, uh, he, I don't know if he was hurt and they just didn't lead anybody to thinking that he was hurt or what, because there's clearly something wrong, and because they wouldn't have benched him for a week to rest him at the end of the regular season.
It looks like they did name the game one starter for pitching for the Guardians. I just read something on it.
Was it
Tanner.
Tanner? Oh,
Hmm.
that is a surprise to me, but
Yeah.
I'm that's a good choice.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think.
yeah, Tanner was probably the best and most consistent pitcher on this team. Alex Cobb was I mean, he was good, but he just couldn't stay healthy. To rely on him, that would have been probably a bad idea.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure.
So, I mean, they have an interesting team this year. Um, Naylor seemed to kind of fall off near the end of the season.
Yeah. Just need him to get hot in the playoffs. Different ball
Oh
game.
yeah, him, Jose, and if John Kenzie Noel can cut down on the strikeouts, that guy will be a really good hitter.
Yeah.
They need to teach him to be a little more patient at the plate because the dude can hit. He just doesn't, he overswings, you know, and that's why he's so high up in strikeouts right now, because he just overswings, and it's either home run or strikeout, and you in baseball you can't do that. There
Nope.
has to be a middle ground, and with him right now there's not.
Yeah. Got to get on base.
Hmm. A
Important
solid
thing.
single or double is good enough, but right now for him, he, like I said, swings too much. So he's putting himself in a position to have a really bad average. I'd like to see him in a home run derby.
Yeah. That would be nice, huh?
Yeah, because I bet he can hit some long homers.
I
But
think our bullpen's good enough to take us, carry us a little bit in the playoffs, but we'll see. Emmanuel Clase has been exceptional.
oh yeah, I mean he's the best player on the team.
Yeah.
He's been the most consistent.
Hmm. Consistency is definitely key.
Oh yeah, because without consistency, you're especially for a closer.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that'll win or lose you games for sure.
I think the echo's on my side because I'm hearing it again. Anyway, if anyone's listening and you hear an echo, please let me know in the comments. I'm sorry if there is an echo. But let me know in the comments. Uh, anyway, with that, let's go to the Browns. They're a conversation, a mess right now.
Sound sad
But
about it.
yeah, I don't I don't get their problem. What
I
unless
don't know.
Deshaun must be more of an issue in the locker room than people think, because it was proven last year that these guys get open and try more when he's
Yeah,
not on the field.
I think with Nick Chubb slowly returning back to practice, I think it was his first day back today.
Hmm.
Eventually getting him into the rotation with Jerome Ford, um, we'll be able to take some pressure off um, the passing game a little bit. But our O line's just decimated right now.
Hmm.
It's crap.
I mean, that's the problem. You have guys um, that are just that are playing out of position, and
Hmm.
you have uh, the lack of depth, and it should be the next man up. But they can't. They don't do. Um, they don't have the depth to do that.
Mm-mm. No, it's a problem.
Okay. Um, hold on. I just gotta go grab my phone real quick. So I'll set you up for a long response here. So for the people listening, what do you think, other than the offensive line, is the biggest issue um, for this team? And like I said, just kind of, if you have an in-depth response to that, I just have to run to get my phone.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Biggest issue. Debatably, I would say Deshaun Watson. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him. I'd almost rather have kept Baker Mayfield at the helm. Sounds like less issues in the locker room. Obviously, down in Tampa, he's, kind of getting it done. I don't know if it's coaching, if it's just the Browns, management, whatever it is. It's not working here with Deshaun for us right now. That being said, I mean, it's a team sport, so At the end of the day, it comes down to everyone. Cooper hasn't had the greatest year ever. Lots of drops with our wide
Mhm.
receivers for sure. You know, Judy doesn't really move the needle for me either. um, who else? You get Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman. I mean, when it comes down to at the end of the day, our offense, what we haven't been able to put up 20 points in the last four since the season started, right?
Yeah. No.
So
Oh yeah, because the game we won, they only scored. I don't even remember. Like, it's 18. Was it?
yeah, there's a lot of trouble on the offensive side of the ball. So
And
I
I don't know. Like I said earlier, it's just so concerning to see what they did with Flacco last year. All of a sudden, guys were getting open and um, they were scoring a lot of points. When Deshaun was playing, things seemed a little uh, less functional, kind of like they are now. I don't know if you would agree or
I do. Yeah,
saw something different.
I would definitely agree. I don't think it's all on him, but like you said, his presence in the locker room, who knows what's going on in there? If he's an issue or not, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not in there.
Mm.
Um, and Stefanski, is he the guy calling all the plays on offense? Is that something he needs to kind of hand off past the torch?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like an offense that necessarily suits Deshaun. Um, we see him scrambling out of the pocket quite a bit. He gets kind of happy feet and maybe ends up
Yeah.
putting in the dirt.
I mean, and that's the biggest problem. They said this offense was supposed to be suited well for Deshaun. And all
Hmm.
of a sudden, no, it's not. Like, how did that change so much?
Yeah, those are good questions to ask there.
The, I mean, again, like you said, we're not in the locker room, but we can
Hmm.
only go off what we kind of see on the field. And with what we see on the field, it looks like there's something there. Like maybe they kind of let him behind the scenes have more say in what goes on, him as in Deshaun. Um, and the players don't like that. So maybe they don't respond as well, or the fact he's making so much money. They don't. Maybe other players are maybe not jealous, but like uh, questioning how has he proven himself. You know, because he didn't play most of the last 2 years, and
Hmm.
then he all of a sudden again is struggling this year. Like that year off really destroyed him, and then who knows what's going to happen with this latest lawsuit? It seems like this one isn't a civil case, and since that's the case, that could break the NFL conduct policy,
Right.
which I've
And then they
seen.
have,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, the Browns, I don't know if they just change his contract up, but they're allowed to release him depending on what, the outcome
Hmm.
of that is without
I,
paying him.
I've seen multiple things on that. I've
Yeah.
seen that they are, and then I've seen that the players' union, would probably fight that and win. So I don't know about that. That would be great because if it is a legal, actual, a non-civil thing, then you have um, that everything that comes with that. The distraction that comes with that. I mean, you got plus just with the Browns and legal issues, you got rookie defensive tackle Mike Hall, who I just found out yesterday has already been suspended for all every game they played.
Hmm.
I didn't know that he was suspended already, but because I thought they were still investigating. But as of a report yesterday, he'll be back mid-October. Not that he'll make a
Huge impact.
real big impact, being he's a rookie.
But
But
still.
yeah, he could.
Mhm. What do you think about our defensive secondary?
I mean, they've done good. Um, over the past couple games, I think it's just the defensive line and linebackers
Mhm.
that are kind of setting the defensive backfield up to fail because they're not getting pressure, which is leaving the quarterback more time to find a open receiver, and the average time for a defender to keep a receiver locked down is like 3 seconds, maybe something like that.
Mhm.
So
It looks like you got a comment in here, Eric. Somebody left a comment. You can see that.
was that okay? Oh, hey. Let's see. November. Okay. No. Yeah, that won't be a tough game. That should be an easy win. Yeah.
November
it-
21st, we'll be playing the Steelers.
yeah.
Browns
Yeah.
versus Steelers. Yeah,
And
we'll
of
see.
course, we see who that is.
Yeah, better coaching over there, that's for sure. In my opinion,
Yeah.
a
Uh,
lot of people would say no, but because Stefanski's won, Coach of the Year a couple of times, but I
yeah.
mean, I still don't see a Super Bowl.
No, I mean I don't either. And the bad thing is they gave him an extension,
Yeah,
so they aren't gonna fire him after 1 year into his extension.
yeah.
But I mean,
I don't not super sold on him. He doesn't turn the needle for me either.
yeah, and his power or like his ego gets in the way when it
Yeah.
comes to the offensive the play calling. So I just
Well,
I
he's better than
don't
Hugh Jackson though, huh?
what?
I said he's better than Hugh Jackson at least.
Well, yeah, that's not saying much.
But
Like that's saying
yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, by the time the Browns get to November 21st, let's see, we got the Commanders,
Hmm.
led by Jaden Daniels. Yeah, that's going to be a tough
Oh,
game.
yeah, that they'll be lucky to be within 21 of them. The
Yeah,
way
I
the
don't know. I
defense
don't
is
see us
playing.
coming out on top of that. So I'm just being realistic here. You got to be a realistic Browns fan. The Eagles, on October 13th, they don't really impress me all that much from when I was watching them against the Bucks here recently. I don't know. That's a winnable game in my opinion.
Uh, uh, yeah, Sirianni and Hurts seem to not be on the same page, but
Yeah,
the
AJ Brown should be back.
I think they still have one or two good offensive players, and the way the defense is playing, I mean they've tightened up in the red zone a little bit, but
Hmm.
other than red zone, they suck. The defense is trash this year. And
Yeah.
of course, they should have actually won Sunday, but penalties, again, end up costing them the game. Like,
Yep.
I think they averaged 13 penalties uh, a game, somewhere in there. So, it's. I don't
Dis-
understand what the emphasis is on in practice. How are they so undisciplined?
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is crazy because that hold they called there at the end of the game with the pass to Cooper, to go for the lead. Um, that's unfortunate. You're getting all excited about it, and then it gets called back.
Yeah,
The missed
it's
the
like
missed extra point. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you can go down and kick a field goal instead of having to try to go for it.
it's like every time the Browns get a big play, where's the flag? That
Yeah.
that's my first reaction. And
Yeah.
it also sucks they haven't had a running game. I don't understand why they didn't try to trade for somebody this offseason.
Yeah.
Because Jerome Ford wouldn't be in the league if he wasn't with the Browns. And Deontay Foreman is an okay backup, but like he shouldn't get serious playing time.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it. I would trade for somebody or
hmm
would have traded for somebody at least. I don't know. Damian
Would you
Pierce,
go for Deon or Adams? Yeah, Deontay Adams.
Devontae.
Devontae. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like I knew I was butchering that. Anyway, Devontae.
Yeah, no. With him being, 30 years old, I think he's owed 33 million on his contract. You're gonna have to be willing to pay that. I don't know. I mean, we're 1-3 right now, so probably not. If I were the GM
hmm
coach, trying to convince him, I don't know.
I mean, also, what would you have to give up? Like,
Right. They wanted a
because they want
second.
they want a second round pick and probably more compensation than that, and it's not really worth it, you know,
Hmm.
for a guy who's at the back end of his career. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
it's
he's been a top
unfortunate.
10 receiver, the past few seasons, but kind of,
hmm
as you get a little bit older, you get the younger guys in the league. I was just watching a video on
hmm
the 17-year-old wide receiver out of Alabama today. I mean, you
Oh,
got
that
these guys,
kid.
yeah, that are a decade, uh, 15 years younger than some of these guys that are in the league right now, which is crazy.
I mean, you got that guy. You got
Jeremiah
Jeremiah
Smith.
Smith. I
Yeah.
mean, that dude's unbelievable.
Both of them. I mean, yeah, the 17-year-old I'm talking about, his name's Ryan Williams. So I was watching like an overtime documentary on him on YouTube.
I'll have to
So
check that out. But
yeah, check it out.
I had never heard of him until somebody was telling me about him yesterday. Actually,
Yeah, he had the impressive game against Georgia, obviously, and I was reading something crazy on Instagram today too. Is like NIL money doubled from like 753K to like 1.5 million, which
hmm
is absurd. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean,
that's a whole other topic of discussion, the NIL stuff. Like,
well,
it's just outrageous.
why not? Why not
Hmm.
just talk about that now? Because
Yeah.
that's a good topic that I tend to talk about a lot on my shows. But I mean, it is outrageous. It really is. Like uh, these guys are supposed to be going to school for
Mm.
education purposes. They're not. You know, they uh, th- they're just lucky to be passing classes. There's people, and I was just talking to a coworker of mine who was telling me that her on-campus job is actually just as a monitor, making sure the collegiate athletes at the certain school are doing their work,
Hmm.
and not being loud.
I mean, a majority of the players aren't going to be going to the NFL. It's the most elite of the elite.
Yeah.
And then you have people that are struggling to pay for school, having to
hmm
take out massive loans and never repaying them. And these kids are making millions of dollars. I'm not saying that they haven't earned it. It's just it's got out of hand.
hmm
NCAA, obviously, they're making a fortune off these players because, well, America loves watching football.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it is good to give some back to an extent, but like the one player, what was it? At Las Vegas, University of Las Vegas,
Yeah.
who stopped playing for them because they didn't pay 100K. It's crazy. Like
hmm
trying to negotiate these contracts and stuff. It's unbelievable.
yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
where do you think NIL should stop? I mean, thousands and millions is a little crazy, but like if a high schooler was good enough in a car dealership or a local restaurant and said, "Hey, I'll pay you $500 a month to advertise my business." I mean, do you think that would be okay? You know, do you think that's okay? Not that would be, but do you see that being a problem?
I think it would be okay to an extent. You got to have boundaries, you know.
Mm. Yeah.
It depends. It depends exactly like how many times they're going to be advertising for them and vice versa. How many times they're getting paid to do that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of
If
depends.
it's like $500 a month, but
Mm-hmm.
they do it for a year or so. That's not too much. That's a lot for a high school player to be making, but
Yeah.
still, in the grand scheme of things, it's not. They're not going to make millions as a high schooler, as they
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't. But to a point, should they be able to make a little money? Yeah, because those kids can't. Most likely, being that sports with conditioning and all that are almost year round, they can't have jobs. But
Mm-hmm.
then is that fair to the guys who are, you know, not as good, that they're not making money and it's
Right.
not?
Right.
So there has to be some kind of balance there.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And you're
So
you're talking about high school too, which is a whole different ball game. Yeah, that's
yeah.
I don't know. Touchy subject. You know, there's people on both
hmm
sides, so
Oh yeah,
definitely lots
um
of opinions.
I've talked to a lot of different people about that. And I mean, I'm forgetting where I was going to go with that. Cuz I had like 3 other spin topics off that conversation and I have no idea where I was going to go. I love when
You're
that
fine.
happens. But um with NIL, yeah, there should be a cap, but there's so many, like, these college players. Oh, that's where I was going. Like, I get there's obviously some fields that you have to go to school for: engineering, anything medical, teaching, and those are like the main ones that I can come up with right now. There's probably other supplemental ones, but um, but other than that, there's so many that you shouldn't have to go to college for, that um you do. And like you said, college is so expensive, and these kids are in debt, or these people
Mhm.
are in debt, and might never get might never get out of debt because of the fact that they uh, uh, the college was expensive, and there the percentage of people getting jobs in their degree of study or in their field of study is like 45%,
Mhm.
and
I
it's
believe
been
it.
like that for multiple years. So
Yeah, it's out of hand. There's a lot of people that are not going to college for that reason because they don't want to have mounds of debt and going into like trade school, you
mhm.
know, electrician, plumbing,
Oh yeah.
things like that,
I
carpenter,
mean,
which are good paying
even
jobs.
well, yeah, they're definitely good paying jobs, and I would never knock. I wish high schools pushed for trade schools versus college, but
Hmm.
or gave like an option. For example, like broadcasting. I haven't maybe shared this on the air, but Brent and I have known each other for a long time, so he knows I've wanted to be a talk show host my whole life, or most of it. So, going to college to be a talk show host, probably not possible because it's just so expensive. But
Hmm.
if high school, if our local high school would have been in a program, or had a program where they would send us off to a different school to be able to study radio and get licensing, uh, I would have been successful at that probably. And speaking, I'm trying to get in at a radio station that's owned by a high school, but we'll get into that off the air.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I wish Stowe would have had. Well, there I go telling people where we went. But anyway, um, I wish they would have had something for radio or
Yeah.
like deeper broadcasting than just journalism. Because
Nice.
unfortunately, journalism is dying. Like, right, print journalism is dying. Like
Hmm.
YouTube and other forms of broadcasting are the way to go now.
Yeah.
Vlogs, and other live streaming are the way to go. And they, they're getting deeper into that now. But when we were in school, they had nothing other than journalism. And that really didn't help a lot of people. It's great if you want to get into writing, but if you want to get into broadcasting, you're going nowhere fast.
Yeah, that doesn't help much with that.
So
I agree.
it just they need to give kids more or students more choices of
Hmm.
forms of education. I mean, I get it. It's a lot of schools can't afford a radio station because that's well, one, it's hard to find a frequency, and two, it's expensive because to be able to host a radio or hold a radio station, you have to have licensing, you have to have a tower, and there's zoning codes and all that make it hard to do that. So,
Hmm.
but I mean, there's internet radio stations that they could do if they wanted to pay X amount a month. So they could figure out how to do that, but nobody was forward thinking enough to do that. Not to say there's a bunch of people who want to get into broadcasting, but who knows?
Hmm.
And they don't get their chance
Right.
without.
Just like any other avenue.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great avenue. I wish I could get more people to follow me, but as I'm just now complaining on the air, not really. But anyway, the point of this is like high schools need to, if they're able to, and school districts would have to approve of this and stuff, but the, I get not having a radio tower, but then have a internet radio station where it's not that expensive. It's $59 a month for it if you can get a setup and run music and then run programming when you get a chance.
Hmm.
So if that's all it takes. Honestly, internet radio is and I'm giving this advice if there's any broadcasting or journalism teachers listening, that internet radio is the way to go. If you could get the school to approve it, you're not paying for a tower. You can stream 24/7. You would play music and then have DJs or talk show hosts for
Mhm.
whatever class period, or integrate that as a program for students to get that experience.
Smart. Like
I
that.
mean, I think that would be great. I mean, they'd have to find a place in the building to house the equipment and stuff, but I mean, it doesn't take that much to.
Block off a computer lab.
Yeah, exactly. A computer lab or a corner of the library or there's extra classrooms or offices that aren't used, that they could take up probably, or most schools probably have conference rooms. Take that, take a conference room, block a little bit of it off, turn it into a radio studio. You know, again, suggestions for schools, but um, it's a good idea. And I'm just rambling now. So, but I think that would be a good idea for schools to do. And like our school district has affiliation with 5 other schools. It's a compact, they call it. And so have one school have the station, house the station, and have different uh, students run at different times. And when they're not learning or when they're not on the air, they're going through classes for the licensing. You know, that's an avenue that schools haven't considered, but they need to. Anyway, off my soapbox.
You need to petition for this. Sounds like you know what you're talking about.
I know. And it's not like with internet radio, you don't have to have a license, but that's an avenue for schools to start.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be something I would look into or I might suggest to, because I think I still know the journalism teacher, so I might talk to her and see if the school would do that, and eventually maybe I could be brought on by the school. I know I don't have a teaching license, but I have the experience in broadcasting internet signals, so maybe I could be production and stuff.
Nice.
Anyway, off that topic. I think actually, yeah, that's. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Because
I don't think so. I think we hit it right on the head there, and I'm glad we kind of got into that stuff. So,
yeah,
that was good.
with
Thanks for
that, I think. Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No, I said thanks for speaking on that. Glad you were able
Oh,
to end some of your wisdom there.
oh, no problem. I'm glad I could give wisdom. And I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Thank you to the ones who were involved in the comments. That actually is really nice to be able to communicate with our listeners. That's a big reason I have the live chat window open at all times, or at least where I could see I have a notification. So, the more that people communicate with this show, the more they like it, the more it gets distributed. That's a big part of the algorithm. The more attention a show gets, the more attention the more live attention or after with likes and shares and comments, the better the algorithm gets it out to more people. So,
Yeah.
with that, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you so much, Brent, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
For thank you everybody, and have a great night.